It's Burnsy again, and welcome back. We've never done an episode 2 of a CuriosityCast, but we are now. We were so fascinated by the chat with Stewart Baxter and his bombed buildings project. We thought, well, we'll just extend it and we'll split it in 2. So here you are. Welcome to part 2. People will be listening to this podcast and thinking, well, I've missed it. Will you do it again, Stewart?
I'm not sure, because a lot of people ask me that, and even the people in the quartet and on the night was like, "This is so cool! It's a shame to do it once." So
but
maybe by popular demand,
it's
a tricky thing, I think, because for me, I'm thinking about the next thing. I'm thinking about where do we do the next. But I want to go into another space and respond to that space and I want to do more of that. This is really interesting to me. How will I make music in the space, and then record that and then perform it and put it on a record or whatever. This process has been so interesting to me. I mean, it's taken longer than I thought because I didn't know what it was going to be. I think if I do it again, it'll be a much more like, right, I've tried it. It was a pilot project. If I just made these, lost all the money on it and learned something, I was happy with that. So when someone said to me, "Oh, you might not sell the records," and I was like, "Well, and what? I've invested in something cool. I've had a good time. I'm not bothered."
But the exclusivity gives it value. Not that it's about money, but the exclusivity. If you want to listen to that 12-minute track that's at the heart of this thing, I've got to give you £100, or the people who own these have got to have little listening parties where they all sit around and say, "Right, I'm putting it on now."
And it's worth knowing that I'm looking at doing like a digital package of this, which is not about putting it on Spotify, but doing like a digital download where there'll be scans of some of the artifacts and there'll be the film. I also don't want it to be, you need £144 to pay for it. You can also, buy it for a tenner or whatever, and you get all of this stuff in a digital zip file. So that's what I'm wanting to release next. And last week I met Mary Ann Hobbs. She was in Hull and she took a copy of it, and she was so similarly, she was just so blown away by the story, and she was so like honoured to have a copy of it and be a custodian to these 20 pieces of art, But I'm just really, really grateful and happy that people have seen it as a piece, as an art edition, and it wasn't just me being delusional. I think I'm really happy with the commitment people have put into it and the people that have helped me do it. And it feels like it felt like a crazy idea, but it's worked.
I've got a question. I'm sitting here. I'm listening to you, and this came out your childhood, and I'm wondering how you got from that kid and the dog on the back window of the Cortina estate and playing in bombed out buildings, or what you thought were bombed out buildings. How did you get to be this bright, intelligent bloke that's producing works of art? Were you just a normal kid at school? Did you, were you spotted for your talent? I'm fascinated how you made that, where it came from, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and it is a question I'm forever asking myself, because it's not the normal route of someone, or some people where I came from, But I mean, all I can really put it down to is my mum, I think, because she was the kind of, constant person that was there supporting my creativity. If I think about the first set of crayons I had, she got me them. Think about anything creative in my life, and I'm a very creative person. She provided that and encouraged it. One of my first memories was having a piece of art in like a Lord Mayor's gallery, and it was a drawing of a street of loads of shops, and I just remember that, and I remember my mum just being so proud that her son's an artist, because she never got to be creative as she'd like to have been. She had to work in the factories and she had to bring up a family, but she was always trying to be creative through wallpaper in the house or decorating the house and trying to, and I think a lot of that flame died in her, and she had quite a traumatic life and been through a lot of trauma herself. So I think through me and through the kids, she was very, very proud mum, and whatever we didn't have, she stepped in and tried to provide. So I remember my first guitar, first keyboard she bought me, and looking back now, she probably got into a load of debt and probably borrowed that money.
Hence the house and the dog in the back of the Ford Cortina estate.
Yeah. The reason we ended up in those situations wasn't because she was a bad parent, and it was quite the opposite. It was about providing for your kids, and maybe over providing, because she wanted us to have the best. And not really thinking about the consequences of money. But I think there's been a lot of strong women in my life. My mum, my auntie, my grandma, my sister, my wife, who have just been the most supportive people, more than any of the men that have been in my life, who've been quite often the opposite, and not really shown interest, or have been a bit more like dismissive of what I've done. So I do think about my mum a lot in this, because I also know that this story, it can look like my parents weren't good parents, but they were just parents trying to do their best. So I think, and also my mum and dad both died within a year of each other, around 9-10 years ago, both to lung cancer. So there was an element then in me that just basically, even though I was already someone who was trying to do as much as I could and trying to escape poverty and trying to just not be trapped in that world, that moment, I took their passing as a reason to live. And I took their energy as a reason to carry on and add that to my energy, rather than let it defeat me. So I really do have a passion to doing anything that I feel like I want to do and taking risks, because I just know how fragile life is. And a lot of people have died in my life, a lot of friends, a lot of family. So to be able to do this, I just feel grateful to it and privileged to even have the opportunity. And being in a world now where there's so much, war and death and and we're sat here having a podcast, what I mean? Why wouldn't I get up in the morning and try my best, to do this stuff? I don't know if that's gone off the track a bit, but that's where I'm driven.
It's all part of it.
That's why I'm driven, is through the loss, through the trauma, through that. But that's why I've ended up where I am, because no one's going to do it for me, and I don't have anything to fall back on. No one's going to chuck a load of money at me, or I ain't got anything to inherit.
But I think there's two really old things there. One is we just crack on and get on with stuff because nobody's going to help us out.
Yeah,
is a very whole trait, Yeah. And the second thing is the matriarchal part. We're a matriarchal city. We were all of us brought up by women because the men were away at sea. Exactly. So there's two elements there that really are part of your life, but a part of everybody else's life in Hull as well. So it feeds into the whole story, I think.
I agree, yeah. I think, and that's what, I'm very proud to be from Hull, and I've chosen to stay in Hull. I didn't get the choice I didn't get a choice to go to university, but, so I didn't really have a choice, but I left Hull in a punk band and I got out did it that way. But I always came back because I love the place, and when people were saying Hull was rubbish and there's no opportunities, I saw that as an opportunity to make something, So let's make it better then. Let's make these things. Let's put on a festival. Let's start a record label. We've got all these opportunities then, if no one else is doing it.
No, yeah,
like this record, I'm sure there's somewhere else in the world, many places where the records like this are being made, but I don't know of any around here, and I don't know if anyone, and I hope that this inspires other people to do some similar projects. And I don't want to be the guy that made this record. I want people to be inspired by that.
What probably doesn't come across on the podcast is the quality of everything involved there. We're not going to hear the music, because rightly we shouldn't, unless we're there, unless we go on the record. But the elements you brought out here today, they just look fantastic. They're clearly a lot of love, effort, and quality.
Considering it's handmade, it's very high quality.
Yeah,
like item, isn't it, and piece of art. And we've spent the time on that.
It's fantastic.
Stuart, where can people find out more about you, Stuart? There's a website and everything like that?
I do have a website, which is bombedbuildings.com, and I have put up, you can see my previous commissions and things there that I've done, because nothing's ever been released as music, but there are videos of all of my other things that I've done as this kind of art, and there is a contact on there. As it stands, I also have an Instagram page at bombedbuildings, so please do get in touch and keep an eye out, because as it stands, I haven't announced the next steps. So please email me or contact me on Instagram. Those are the places to find me. bombedbuildings@gmail.com, because I'd really love to hear. I'd also love to hear people's questions myself and any thoughts people have. And, I'm really interested in how people, after the show the other night, there was so many great, interesting thoughts from it. Audrey Dunn came and read a poem before it, and she said she didn't plan on saying anything. She was just going to read the poem, but then she got up on the stage and she said she's got this memory of being a kid on her father's shoulders and watching the docks across the other side of the water getting bombed, and how amazing it was. And she was watching it, like entertainment, like fireworks. And she's got this memory that it was so beautiful. but so devastating. And, you know, just that came out, you know, just her thinking about that. And afterwards she said, this, you know, the music was so moving. It had Palestine in it. It had all of these places in it, you know, that it just came through the music. It had a lot of war in it, you know. It's just been so interesting how people have linked it to war. And to me, it's just felt like a really personal, you know, story about, you know, emotions and trauma and, you know, depression and all these things that...
I can't wait to hear it. I will hear it. But I have to
get a box of Kleenex ready.
I have to wait, don't I? I've not even got a record player, so I can...
But you're the people that invest. You're invested in the story, so you get to get the secret link so you can listen to the digital version.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
So I will send you it.
Great.
Thank you for your time on this. You've given us more than just an arts project on creating a unique record. So we thank you for that. Really enjoyed the conversation. Normally we fart about like Billy-O on the CuriosityCast. It seems so wrong to do so today. So thank you for your time. Stewart Baxter, it's been brilliant. All the best with the project and the future projects. Do check him out. His name's Stewart Baxter. And that's it. Our very first episode 2 of a CuriosityCast.
No, we did Jacko.
We did. Yeah, our second one.
But we planned it as 2. This one we didn't. It's improvised.
I'll bring it back to it. Do I get double bubble now?
Just say goodbye, Dave. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, Dave. Dear. Our thanks to Stewart Baxter. Remember to keep in touch with us via curiosityhull.co.uk or follow and friend us on the socials where we're Curiosity Hull on all the main feeds. We'll be back very soon with more quality answers to whatever question you'd like to ask.